Give this video a shot, and there's a very high chance you'll just enjoy World of Warcraft more. Here's why, right? See if you fire up a new video game, but the controls are rubbish, the UI blows, and there's quality of life issues everywhere, you're not going to have fun. Now, World of Warcraft's strength is customization, but over the years, that's meant I've made so many tiny little changes and tweaks that I take them all for granted today. And that means I forget to tell you about them, and that's what today's video is about. Here is a collection of tips and tricks and little settings you can change that will make your gameplay smoother and give you more options. This is not about doing more DPS, it's not about being sweaty, it is about just having a more comfortable, better quality of life game experience so you're not fighting with your UI. So, let's get stuck in, and speaking of not fighting with your UI, here's today's sponsor. They're not just going to help you solve a problem, you're going to do some design and have fun, and that's because it's Squarespace. Now, they've got their easy-to-use site builder and their award-winning templates, but they have developed into so much more lately, and it's all captured in Design Intelligence, which is their mix of tools that help you basically access their 20 years of design experience and just implement it fast. And it starts with Blueprint AI, and this is so damn cool. You answer a few questions, and once you do that, you use their interactive design system to piece by piece build your own template. It is so cool. And they keep you right with designer-picked fonts and colors, all of course matching your aesthetic. And from there, you can easily iterate on your copy and your content with a whole host of AI tools, and it is seamlessly integrated. So if you've been overwhelmed in the past, or you just want to get started quickly with all your bases covered, this is a fantastic way to do that. And of course, their core platform is always growing as well. They've now got native video support, and that means you get a gorgeous player on your site with a beautiful video gallery layout that is all interoperable with their fantastic suite of e-commerce tools. And basically, whenever I needed sites, Squarespace was my first port of call because I knew that they made it all easy. So, to get started today, go to squarespace.com/bellulargaming. You can check out Design Intelligence, build your site, have fun, and when you're ready to send it live, use code BellularGaming for 10% off your first purchase of a site or domain. Okay, let's make your camera way better. So, World of Warcraft can be pretty damn overwhelming, and this console command will help you a hell of a lot. What it does is it sets the maximum zoom further out, and that just lets you see more on screen, which is amazing for all types of content. You'll essentially just have better situational awareness, and for some people, this just makes the game more comfortable to play. Now, there's another tweak that some people love too. It's called /console action cam basic. This doesn't turn on the full action cam with all of the crazy weapons swinging or being offset, but what it does do is just change the camera's angle a little bit. Some people prefer it, especially when you're fighting humongous tall mobs like raid bosses. Not everybody loves it though, but it's at least something that's worth giving a shot. Okay, next, there's a few more settings that can just help you stay oriented in the world. First, open the settings menu, then click in combat. When you're there, you'll see a setting that's called show silhouette when obscured. This one is really nice. When things get chaotic and your camera's obscured, you'll see a silhouette of your character. But that's actually not all you can turn on. There's another setting called self-highlight. It's got a range of options, a circle, an outline, and an icon, or just any combination of those. Those will always be present on your screen, so you always know exactly where your character is. If you're doing dungeon and raid content, it can be a really good option, and if you want to be able to toggle those things on and off with a macro, there'll be one supplied down below. We humans have got these amazing things called opposable thumbs, but World of Warcraft doesn't actually make good use of them. Our thumbs are pretty amazing at moving about the place, but some of the keys our thumbs can easily hit, like the C key, well, they're bound to the character window. Z is bound to sheathing your weapon, X is bound to sitting down. Of course, none of those are particularly useful in combat, which is why I actually unbind them. Now, the Z and X keys are definitely the hardest to press, so they will get infrequently used spells, but C and V are ones that I use very commonly, and I also use them with modifier keys. So, by unbinding Z, X, C, and V, and then also using C and V with a modifier key, I just get 6 more buttons than I can press, all with my thumb. The first thing to do is to enable Mousover casting in the game's interface menu, and this one is a real game changer. So, say you're fighting one enemy, but you want to interrupt the cast of another enemy. With this turned on, you just need to flick your mouse over to the enemy you want to interrupt, and then you just press your interrupt keybind. This will interrupt that enemy without you even having to change your target, and that means you can just get so many more things done in the game, but with far less cognitive load and key presses. It also works on your party and raid frames, and that means that, say, you're a paladin, right? And you want to cast Blessing of Sacrifice on the tank to help them survive something. Well, what you can do is just hover your mouse over the tank in your raid or party frames, press your keybind, and you'll cast that ability on them. This is something everybody should get in the habit of doing when you're playing group content, and it just feels amazing. Like, if your party is going to wipe, but you get a clutch lay on hands on the tank or the healer, they survive, and you make it through the pool. That's the sort of thing that'll just make you enjoy World of Warcraft so much more. This next tweet comes from the World of Healing, and it is absolutely amazing. So it's called click casting, and what it basically does is it makes it so that whenever you click in somebody's unit frame, be that a left click, a right click, a middle mouse button, or maybe a shift left click, well, it will cast a spell of your choosing. In my example, I have Lay on Hands bound to the middle mouse button, and this means that if somebody in raid needs saving, I just move my mouse over their frame, I middle mouse click on them, and that's it. Lay on Hands is cast on them. Implementing the key binding changes, things like click casting and unbinding those keys so that you can use them for your hotkeys, I just think those things will help you become a radically better player. My next tweak is how you can get some of the benefits associated with weak auras without actually having to use weak auras, because I know a lot of people just don't want to have add-ons. So one of the reasons why people use weak auras is to see vital information about their class, things like the cooldown of abilities, while also just keeping their eyes near the center of their screen so they don't lose situational awareness. Well, the good news is you can achieve something similar by just making an action bar button that is only visible in combat, and you can do this with the game's default UI. Just enable the extra action buttons in your settings window, then enter edit mode, select the bar that you want to use, set its visibility to in combat, and from there it's just a matter of customizing this to fit your needs. You could make a small bar for all of your utility spells and just put that atop any rotational things that you want to track on another bar. Now, of course, this does not get you the power of weak auras, but if all you want is a light touch solution that helps you keep track of your major cooldowns without having to glance your eyes near the bottom of your screen, I think this can be a really good option. This is a 2-for-1. It's at player and at cursor macros. These can be an absolute game changer. So, you know how you'll often use an area targeted ability where you'll click the button and then you'll have to left click your mouse to cast it. What these do is they remove the left click. And doing this is really simple. Just type in /M to bring up the macro window. Type #show tooltip, which will just make your macro display the right ability icon in your bars, and then type /cast at cursor and then the spell name, exactly as it appears in your spellbook. There'll be examples down below, and with this, I just find that it makes World of Warcraft play in a more responsive way, and it means that your movement abilities like Heroic Leap, your AoEs like Flame Strike, or heals like Radiance are just that bit more comfortable to use. Help harm macros are absolutely awesome, and they let you consolidate your buttons big time. So here's an example that you can see on screen, and to break that down, in the square brackets, we have what are called conditionals. These are things like Mousover, help, and no dead. As an example, this one means that if you can help the target you're mousing over, and that target's not dead, then you'll cast whatever ability you specify. But say, if you can harm that target, then it will cast another ability. Some healers use help harm macros as well to have the same button cast, say, a damaging spell on an enemy and a heal on an ally. And this basically means for them that they save loads and loads of keybind space. Once you're comfortable, this could let you consolidate your buttons quite a bit, and that could free up some prime space on your keybinds, which could help you make a more comfortable and effective setup for you. This is so simple, and to me it's a game changer that I've used for well over a decade. So what you can do is, using edit mode, make a bar for your utility keybinds, and then bind one of those to shift space. We're going to use that to mount up, and shift space is a perfect keybind for mounting. It's extremely easy to press, all with your left hand, but that combination shift and space is one you wouldn't really press while you're moving or you're in combat. And it's also a key combination that's located where your left hand will naturally rest on the keyboard, so you barely even need to move your fingers to use it. It just makes mounting up feel so natural and so quick. But then, as a bit of a twist, we could use another modifier like, say, control space to mount up on our yak, which makes, of course, quickly repairing your gear or vendoring some greys a total breeze. Now, there's a way to make this even better, and that's to use World of Warcraft's favorite mount function. With this, you can mark multiple mounts as favorite in the mount journal, and then whenever you press the favorite button, it'll just summon one of those at random, but it'll do it smartly, so it won't select, say, a ground mount if you're in a location that is good for flying. This is just one of those small, everyday changes that makes WoW flow a little bit better. The interact key is a new thing as of Dragonflight, and it lets you do things without needing your mouse. As an example, you could just land in front of a mining node, press the interact key, and your character will mine it. You won't need to right-click on it. The same goes for talking to an NPC, opening the auction house, any of that stuff really. It's pretty similar to the use key in most other games, where it's often bound to E or F, and if you've ever wondered where press F to pay respects comes from, well, it's this. Now, a problem for World of Warcraft is that E and F are pretty much some of our best key bindings, things we'll often want in combat, so you may just want to use Shift F, or if you're a person with long fingers, you could bind it to the G key or the T key. Personally, in the meantime though, I've bound mine to the T key. Next, a few tweaks with edit mode, and one of them I've already mentioned, and it's making a hidden utility bar, which is of course where I put things like my mount up button. Simply make a bar, put it anywhere that you want, and set it to invisible. That way you can bind loads of functionality to that bar, but you can do it without cluttering up your UI, which is really nice. Then another thing that many people don't know they can change is the size of the objective tracker. You can scale it down to be way smaller, or you can just make it longer if you would like it to display more information. Another thing I also do is make the bag and micro menu absolutely as tiny as I can. It kind of sucks the default UI doesn't let us hide them, but basically I always use keybinds for those things, so I just make them as small as I can and I hide them away in the corner. Okay, so there's a bunch of the little tips that I've collected. Now, if you are a fellow World of Warcraft boomer, you've been here for like 15 plus years like I have, you probably have some tips of your own. Drop them down in the comments. It'd be really cool to do another video so we can help newer players out even more. And if you're liking this energy, well, I've got the perfect video for you next, right? This is our key binding masterclass. No fancy keyboard is required, no fancy mouse, and we've even made a worksheet so that once you understand the video, you can use the worksheet to plan all of your characters. Trust me, WoW is so much more fun when your controls are working for you, not against you. So check it out next.